All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Picture this. You're looking at a massive turning point in modern military history. We're unpacking the May 2025 crisis between India and Pakistan. And look, this wasn't just your standard border skirmish. No, this is the wild story of how a tragic localized event completely exploded into a full-blown showcase of next-generation multi-domain warfare. We're talking about a battlefield where, sure, physical missiles are flying, but the absolute most devastating blows, they're being dealt invisibly, right through satellites and servers. We're going to break down every single concept here, step by step, to give you a really rich, immersive look at how the future of conflict literally just played out in South Asia. So, to make sense of this super complex and heavily disputed crisis, here's our roadmap. We're going to look at the spark and the strikes, dive into the great air combat debate, uncover the invisible battlefield, wade through the fog of information warfare, and finally, look at this whole new paradigm of conflict. Let's get into it. Section 1, the spark and the strikes, the kinetic triggers. Let's start with the visceral, explosive events that actually kicked this whole thing off. Okay, so the stage was set on April 22nd when a horrific terror attack in Pahalgam left 26 civilians dead. That was the spark, right? In response, literally overnight, from May 6th into May 7th, India launched Operation Sindoor. This was a 23-minute, highly intense wave of missile strikes targeting what New Delhi stated were terrorist infrastructure camps for Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba. But as we know, the physics of war demand a reaction. Bam! May 10. Pakistan strikes back with Operation Banyan on Mahsous, heavily targeting Indian military bases and command hubs, and asserting they caused massive damage. By the evening of May 10th, after just a dizzying exchange of advanced weaponry, they managed to broker a tense ceasefire. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The physical evidence of these strikes reveals this incredible paradox, or honestly, just sheer ambiguity. See, India stated they precisely hit terror camps to send a definitive message, while Pakistan claimed civilian infrastructure like mosques were tragically struck. But then you have independent analyses from groups like the Australian Strategic Policy Institute pointing out that several bombs actually appeared to land in totally uninhabited, wooded areas. It's like a giant puzzle. This just perfectly illustrates the immense difficulty of verifying kinetic damage on the ground. Think about it. When both sides have nuclear weapons, striking empty land might actually be a highly calculated move. A way to send a deafeningly loud message without crossing that terrifying threshold into all-out war. Section 2. The Great Air Combat Debate. Dueling Narratives. Moving beyond the ground, let's look up at the sky and explore the highly contested air battle of May 7th. Looking at the fallout here is honestly like watching two completely different movies playing on the exact same screen. On one side, Pakistan claimed a massive, historic victory, explicitly stating they shot down 6 Indian jets, including 4 highly advanced French-made Rafales, using their Chinese-supplied J-10C fighters. But then on the other side, India's Chief of Defense Staff acknowledged some tactical errors were made and corrected, but outright dismissed that claim of 6 down jets. And Dassault Aviation, the folks who actually make the Rafale, vehemently denied those specific numbers too. So navigating these totally contradictory statements means we absolutely have to look at raw data and third-party assessments rather than just taking press releases at face value. So let's bring in the umpires, right? Third-party intelligence, and wow, does it further complicate the debate. U.S. officials reported high confidence of 2 to 5 Indian jets being downed. French intelligence, they saw evidence of 3 aircraft losses spanning different models. The Washington Post even geolocated 3 crash sites within Indian territory. So what's the big takeaway here? It's just how incredibly difficult it is to confirm physical losses in modern combat. The skies are moving at Mach 2, and the truth on the ground is almost always buried under layers of national security. Now, the really crucial point Dassault CEO makes here is a massive shift in perspective. Think about a game of chess. Sometimes you have to sacrifice a knight to take the opponent's king, right? Trappier is basically arguing that in high-intensity modern warfare, absorbing some losses might just be an inevitable reality while executing these deep strike mission objectives. Obviously, a downed jet is a tragedy, but in the cold, hard calculus of military strategy, if that primary target was completely obliterated, the mission itself might still be deemed a huge success. Section 3. The invisible battlefield, below the surface. Let's peel things back and look at the invisible digital battlefield that dictated the pace of all those physical weapons. Listen. If you want to understand how wars are going to be fought for the next 50 years, you have to understand multi-domain warfare. Think of it as a massive, perfectly synchronized orchestra. The fighter jets, they're really just the brass section. But playing right alongside them, reading from the exact same sheet of music, are cyber hackers, satellite operators, and AI algorithms. They're all linked together on a super secure communications grid. And if the enemy can't hear the music, well, they literally can't fight back. And the ultimate goal of that giant orchestra? To complete this process, the kill chain. In military terms, a kill chain is essentially like casting a highly sophisticated, invisible digital net. It's detect, track, engage. Simple as that. If you can trap your opponent in this net by controlling the flow of data, like blinding their radar while enhancing your own, you essentially secure air dominance before a single physical missile is even fired. It's a real game changer. And guys, this is exactly what reportedly happened. Military analysts indicate Pakistan achieved their kill chain by basically launching cyber attacks as the first bullet. They reportedly gained control of 3 Indian Air Force satellites, totally neutralized GPS signals, and launched malware that crippled 96% of India's critical systems. We're talking everything from banking to energy grids. Just imagine being a fighter pilot in a multi-million-dollar jet, and suddenly, out of nowhere, your screens just go completely dark. Your GPS is spoofed, and you're flying totally blind into enemy territory. This right here perfectly showcases how absolute digital dominance directly translates into real-world aerial victories. Section 4, Fog of Information Warfare, the Digital Deception. But hey, this invisible war wasn't just about jamming radars. It was also about jamming the truth. So enter a third player into all this chaos. China. According to a U.S.-China Economic and Security Review report, Chinese actors opportunistically used this India-Pakistan conflict to actively spread fake news. And their motive? A global marketing war. By completely discrediting the battle-tested French Rafale jets operated by India, they were hoping to boost the global sales appeal of their own, totally untested J-35 stealth fighters. It's literally geopolitical advertising, playing out through the lens of a regional crisis. Absolutely wild. It is just fascinating and honestly totally terrifying to see exactly how this disinformation campaign was executed. First, bad actors generate these crazy photorealistic AI images of burning Rafale debris. Next, they deploy an absolute army of fake bot accounts to push these visuals until they're trending globally. And get this, the trick worked so incredibly well that even regional political leaders fell for the propaganda, literally repeating the claims on live television. Finally, the actors step in and say, hey, look how easily those Western jets fell. Buy our Chinese weaponry instead. It's such an incredibly efficient, low-cost way to completely alter global perception. Section 5. A new paradigm of conflict, the future of war. Finally, let's zoom out and look at the big global takeaways from this highly digitized crisis. So this conflict basically cemented the era of what experts are now calling non-contact warfare. As defense analysts noted, there is almost zero evidence of manned aircraft actually crossing into the other side's physical airspace during these clashes. Instead, they traded blows like boxers with incredibly long arms. We're talking a massive reliance on extreme long-range standoff missiles, autonomous drone swarms, and continuous non-kinetic cyber probes. The soldiers of the future, they are just as likely to be sitting at a keyboard hundreds of miles away as they are to be strapped into a cockpit. This entire dynamic completely changes how aerial warfare actually operates in the real world. Pakistan reportedly utilized a Chinese-supplied ABC ecosystem. So A stands for the ground radars that spot the target, B represents the fighter jet that acts merely as a flying battery, launching the missile from a super safe standoff distance, and C is the AWACS, that's the giant radar plane hovering high up above that actually guides the missile mid-flight right to its target. The aircraft firing the weapon isn't even the one aiming it. It is a terrifyingly efficient, totally interconnected loop. But, every move in warfare always triggers a countermove. To shatter this integrated net, reports show India is adapting by outfitting its heavy Su-30 MKI fighters with these massive Russian R-37M hypersonic missiles. Now, these aren't meant to shoot down other agile fighters. Oh no, they are designed specifically to snipe those crucial AWACS radar planes from hundreds of kilometers away. Because if you can blind the C in that ABC network, the entire enemy kill chain completely collapses. It is literally a high-stakes game of technological cat and mouse. All right, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a final, provocative thought. We've seen physical missiles drop, we've seen satellites get hacked, and we've seen social media totally manipulated by AI just to sell stealth fighters. So, in an era where a war is fought simultaneously in the sky, in space, and on our smartphones, with totally contradictory claims completely blurring reality, perhaps the true victor isn't the one who destroys the most hardware. Perhaps the true victor is simply the one who controls the narrative. Really think about that the next time you see a conflict unfolding on your timeline. Until next time, keep questioning what you see.